let's go back to your gymnastics beginnings. Tell us how you started
Oh,
gymnastics and things like that.
okay. So I was actually a figure skater at first. And I stopped just because I kind of got bored with it. And it was mainly because I wanted something more challenging. And I was kind of stuck doing like the level one basics, and I was like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. So the next year, I was watching TV and I saw Gabby Douglas doing floor, and I didn't really know anything about gymnastics. I've never heard of it, so that was my first time watching it, and I didn't know what it was. I was just like, I don't know what that is. I want to do that. I want to do that. So then I just started, trying to figure out how she did it. I was tumbling, doing cartwheels, and the living room and dining room and all over the place outside in the backyard. So my parents put me in Bright Raven Gymnastics. It's the gym like 10 minutes away from my house. And I just kind of fell in love with it ever since then. And I moved up the levels pretty quickly. And I liked that it was more challenging, I felt, for me. And I liked being able to dance and jump and run around and stuff without knocking anything over. And I wasn't really thinking about college for gymnastics because I did want to go to an HBCU, but they didn't have gymnastics, so I wasn't really thinking about that for real until it got time for college to become a conversation again. And I just decided to give up on the HBCU idea just because they didn't have gymnastics. I was like, well, fine, I guess I won't go to the HBCU. I'll just pick something else. So I went to the University of Bridgeport first, but it was during COVID, and COVID kind of really messed up a lot of things with admissions and things like that. So I left and took a gap semester just to kind of figure out if I still wanted to do college gymnastics during COVID. So I went back home, and the next semester in the spring, I went to SUNY Brookport College
Mhm.
and went on their gymnastics team. And that was really fun. And I did enjoy being there, and I enjoyed the coaching and the girls. Um, I stayed there for about a year and a half, but they did announce Fisk, I want to say. In the middle of our season, they announced Fisk starting a team. So because of that, after we finished the season, I transferred to Fisk because I originally wanted to go to an HBCU, but they didn't have it, so I kind of just gave up on it. So then once they announced it, I just decided to do what I wanted to do from the beginning and go to HBCU.
Now that's really
And now I'm here.
interesting. Yeah, that's really interesting. So how old were you when you started gymnastics?
I was 9.
Okay, interesting, interesting. And the HBCU attraction was big. You knew,
Yeah.
okay.
My older sister and my older brother, they both went to HBCUs. So I was always like trapped. We were always like going on the HBCU tours and stuff. So that made me want to look into it. And then like Beyonce had like her Coachella performance inspired by HBCUs. So I really wanted to go, but then I was like, oh, they don't have gymnastics, so never mind. It's okay.
No, I
But then
get
they
it.
changed
I get
that.
it.
So
I watched Beyonce's Coachella for many time over, and that's inspiring for sure. Yeah, that's so
yeah.
interesting. So how has it been to go to Fisk? I mean, this is a big thing. You're one of the pioneers on that team. How do you feel?
It's it's been really fun. And can feel myself like stepping out of the box a little bit and out of my comfort zone and trying new things. Like I remember at my other schools, I was like the only black girl or the only black student in general in all my classes. So when I would go look at different like clubs and stuff, I wouldn't go out of my room or do anything except for gymnastics just because I knew I'd be the only one in those types of clubs. And they have like black student unions and stuff, but still I was just like, yeah, that's not, I'm okay. So coming here, it's like every class, everybody looks like me. My professors look like me. I go to practice, all the girls look like me. And it's really refreshing. And I can kind of put my guard down a little bit. I don't feel so like protective of myself, like, oh, I have to be careful or, code switching or anything like that. I feel like I can truly be my authentic self all the time. So because of that, I really like being here.
That's really interesting because, I've talked to a lot of folks and, we all love gymnastics, but that part of being able to, like you said, just kind of relax a little bit, put your guard down and just do the gymnastics is big.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that what you expected? Is it what you expected?
Um, it's not what I expected, only because I didn't really expect us to get much media attention. I don't think people realize the fact that no HBCUs had gymnastics until like they started having a lot of media and attention, and we started like going on talk shows and stuff. And then it was kind of like, oh wait, there are no gymnastics teams at HBCUs. How come? Like it's just like a second thought, and I don't know if it's just because people don't really think about gymnastics as being like a sport, or if they don't really look at gymnastics being a black sport, or if people just don't care. But once the media attention started coming, then it became a huge thing, and I wasn't expecting that. I expected, like, I knew we were going to make history. That was like one of the first things that when we were being recruited, Coach D would mention. So I knew that, but I didn't think it would be as big as it got at all. I was just kind of expecting to come do gymnastics and do school, and that was it. But it's been a whole lot of other stuff too.
How have you handled all the media attention?
Um, I don't know. It's weird. I try to just stay humble about it. But like last year we got to go on the Jennifer Hudson show, and then during one of the competitions we got to talk to ESPN, their sports center segment outside the lines. And then people would call and ask about different interviews and stuff, and it's just like, oh, that's exciting. It's really cool, but I wasn't expecting it. So it's just like, okay, just it's another thing I have to do, but it is really cool to do those things too.
Wow, that's great. No, it's definitely gotten a lot of attention and people are very excited. And it's special. I mean, it's HBCUs are already having their moment, and it's
Yeah.
just everything came together. Gymnastics is having its moment, HBCUs are having its moment. So you're just in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
So, you talked about how to protect yourself and being in different situations, but you've also had a couple of additional things as far as, the leotards and all that type of stuff. Tell us about that journey.
So I've always worn tights or leggings, whatever you want to call it, underneath my leotard, because I'm Muslim. So I wanted to practice that while I was doing gymnastics. And my club coaches, they didn't care. It wasn't a problem. No one, the judges, like no one said anything. It wasn't an issue. It was just like, yeah, she wears tights, so what? Who cares? Um, and that was around like level 7. No, levels like from levels 1 to 7, it was completely fine. And then that after that, all of a sudden it became a problem. I really don't understand what happened. Like honestly, why out the blue it was just like, oh yeah, she needs to stop doing that. But after level 7, and I started getting into like the level 8, level 9, like regional levels, that's when my coaches were approached by someone from USAG, one of the officials, and they were like, yeah, so she can't do this. She's not allowed to wear tights, and if she keeps wearing them, she's gonna get deducted. So instead of starting me from a 10, they said that every routine I did, they would start me from a 9-8, and that caused huge uproar. My parents got really upset. My coaches were really upset. We're trying to figure out why she's been doing this for I don't know how many years. Why is it a problem all of a sudden? And they never really gave us a legit answer. One of the things they had said, some people were like, "Oh, it's a safety issue because your hands could slip or whatever." It's like I'm doing a layout on the floor. My hands aren't slipping anytime soon. But then it was also like, "Oh, we can't see the lines in your legs because." And it's like, well, ballet dancers wear tights all the time. Like I don't other sports they have tights and spandex, you can see just fine. But so they never really gave me a legitimate reason. And then we were going back and forth, and then the USAG officials were like, okay, well, as long as they're sewed in, then you'll be fine. She needs to have it needs to be a one-piece unitard. They offered to give me a unitard, then they never sent it to me. So uh we were just kind of sitting around waiting for a USAG to make me a unitard, and they never did. So my mom had to go and we went and bought new tights and we put them in all my competition leotards, and she would sew them on the sides so that if anyone did come and check to see if they were sewn in, you'd see it was sewn in. And it was an inconvenience and kind of dumb because I felt like they were trying to find something to deduct me on or pick on me for. And I already was feeling some type of way because I was the only girl in any competition wearing tights at all. But my parents were the ones telling me, like, just worry about the gymnastics. Don't worry about all this. We'll handle it. We'll figure it out. So after my year level 9, they had like the national conference that they usually have at the end of the year for gymnastics and stuff. And my coaches had went there and stuff, and they announced that you could wear tights at sanctioned competitions. You won't get deductions for it. So that was a huge relief because for like the first 2 years, it was just like, okay, now I gotta make sure they're sewn in, worry about getting deducted or whatever. And then they changed the rule, which was absolutely amazing. I felt so happy about that. And I forgot all about it when I got to college. I really wasn't thinking about it. My coaches knew, like, when I was in school at Bridgeport, Brookport, that I wear tights, and it was okay. I got to Bridgeport, I didn't stay, but when I came to Brookport, I let the coach know, like, I wear tights, is that a problem? She was like, yeah, not yeah. She was like, you know, it's not a problem. Like, yeah, you can wear tights, like, whatever. We had our first competition, and one of the NCAA officials came up to my coach and was like, so does she have a waiver for her wearing tights? And my coach was like, what are you talking about? Does she need a waiver? What, like, I don't know. Do you have a waiver? Like, I don't know. She always wears tights. Like, what? So she had let me know about it, and I was just like, well, no, I always wear tights, and USAG changed the rules. I didn't really think about it when I got to college. She said, you know what? Don't worry, I'll handle it. I don't know what she said. I don't know what she did. To this day, I have no idea. But I think the next day, I got an email with her attached to the email. Like, she was forwarded in it from the NCAA, and they sent me a letter, a religious waiver, saying that I could wear tights in any competition without any deductions. And I I didn't think it was a big deal, but apparently it's never been done before. So I was like, oh, woo, that's yay, history, cool. Um, and I still have the waiver in one of my folders. I keep it just in case because I don't really think about it as much anymore, but it is always in the back of my mind. But okay, well, anybody could pop out and be like, hey, I don't think you're allowed to do that, and I have proof that I can. But getting the waiver was just kind of like the first step. After that, then people started looking at my routines on YouTube, and people were asking and sending me DMs and questions and stuff like, wait, I didn't know that you could needed to get a waiver to wear tights. I didn't think it mattered. I was like, yeah, I had to get a waiver. So now I just do whatever, and no one has yet to approach me about it again.
Wow, that's a journey though. That's really a journey
Yeah,
to have to go.
especially when you're really young. Like I was just a teenager when they were telling me about these rules and stuff, and that's kind of why my parents were like, "Don't just worry about the gymnastics. Like, forget about it," because it was stressing me out. Like, oh my god, am I gonna go into a competition and get deducted before I even start the routine? Like, before I salute, I'm already starting off way behind everyone else, and especially in club, it's different from college. Like, for the most part, everyone starts at a 10 start value or 10-1. Like, if you're a level 9, level 10, like, for the most part, everyone starts at 10-0. So it was kind of weird for me where it was like, wait, are they actually gonna like deduct me just because tights? It didn't make sense to me because I wasn't breaking any rules. Like, because it wasn't even in the rules. So how can I break a rule that's not in there?
Wow, that's a lot. So you say that your family, your parents especially, because you come from a relatively large family. Yeah.
Yes.
So tell us about that.
I have 5 siblings, an older brother, an older sister, then it's me. And then I have a younger sister, younger brother, another younger sister. And my cat. I count her. um, and then both my parents. So I grew up with a very large family, and I think that has helped me with the team teamwork mindset. Because I always had a large family, and I'm basically always working on a team because like it's all of us. And I was homeschooled, so I was around my siblings all the time, basically. So as much as we butt heads, like I was always close with my siblings. And it was a bit difficult sometimes just because gymnastics is a very expensive sport for whatever reason, all the leotards and the entry fees and all of that. It would be a lot sometimes. And I think that's kind of why I always liked Gabby, not just because she was like the first black gymnast of my generation that I've seen. And she inspired me to start gymnastics, but also in her biographies, like her story was very similar to mine in the sense of you have a large family that you're growing up with, and gymnastics is expensive, and sometimes you have to sacrifice things for gymnastics. So there have been times where either I couldn't go on family trips or stuff because I had practice, or like my siblings, they're all very talented. They do different things, but like they would stop doing some of the stuff that they like to do, their hobbies, so then we could continue for me to do gymnastics. And of course, it all worked out over time. And now that we kind of made it work, and I'm in college now, and like my older siblings have graduated and stuff, it's a lot easier now to manage the gymnastics. And of course, scholarships are amazing. Love scholarships. But sometimes I had to think about those moments because that's the stuff I cherish the most, especially because like my father, he works in a high school. He's a principal and a football coach. But before he was a teacher and an assistant principal. So like the salaries are different. And then my mom, she stayed at home and homeschooled all of us. So you have this large family, and one of them decided that she wants to be a gymnast. So it was like, okay, that's a lot. But we made it out and worked it out in the end. So I'm very grateful that they were always being supportive of me, especially when it came to me transferring schools and wearing tights. Every decision I made based on what I wanted to do with gymnastics, they've always supported me in.
Well, that's great. And that's, yeah, people have to understand how important the families are in this whole journey, right?
Yeah.
A lot to juggle. So I do have a question. So how was it? Was it an adjustment to go from being homeschooled to college?
Oh, yeah. My first couple years of school, it really wasn't that hard. Um, but that's also just because I went to class, went to practice, came straight back to the dorm. I didn't really socialize much or go out because I was kind of in my bubble of being one of the only black girls on campus. When I came here, it was completely different because there are a bunch of people that look like me, all the classes, they have different clubs and stuff that I actually can connect to. We have a club on campus called the Natural Hair Organization, and they teach you like how to take care of your hair and how to do hair in different hairstyles. And it's basically just like a club that it's uplifting of the different hairstyles and your natural hair. So like stuff like that I was really interested in. So I wanted to be a part of that. And it is really cool, but also was kind of like a culture shock at the same time because I was homeschooled my entire life. And then even when I was in college for my freshman, sophomore year, like I kind of just stayed off on my own. But then I came here and they have basketball games, and the gym is literally like right over across the street. So the basketball games, the pep rallies, and the band will come out and the dancers. So I'm just like, whoa, that's different. Wasn't expecting that. And going to class was a weird thing because I'm just so used to just using my computer and stuff. So having to get up and go to class, like walk to class, was crazy to me. I couldn't figure it out. But I made sure to never take. I think my first year I made the mistake and I took an 8 a.m. thinking I could do it. And never again. That was the biggest mistake I made. I thought I could handle an 8 a.m. and that was just horrible. Never again. So now I make sure no more 8 a.m.
Yeah, that's probably a good thing. I don't know why they do that one for young people. It's just not the smartest. I get it. That's really interesting.
No.
So it was also you came from a PWI institution to a HBCU. And I think that most gymnasts still, someone was asking me that in the interview. How was gymnastics on the grassroots? And I said, even though you see a lot of the top gymnasts are Black, in the grassroots gymnastics, it's still not that way. I think most gymnasts, even before you come from there weren't a lot of other girls of color on your team.
Yeah. Even at my club gym, I was like the one of two Black girls. Um, so me going to PWI, it really wasn't that big of a difference because in my club gym, I was the only Black girl there too. So it's like it doesn't really matter. It only showed up a little bit more sometimes because when you're on those teams, you have a lot of like team bonding things. I feel like the part where I noticed the most, okay, this is gonna be a little different. It came to the team bonding activities and my hair. Um, so
Mhm.
in club, mom or my sister did my hair. I hated my hair, absolutely hated it. My hair was really thick and it was just 4C, it was big, thick, afro all the time. I like putting it in the two puffs. I thought it was so cute, but I couldn't handle my hair, especially because of gymnastics. Gymnastics is so time consuming. I'm always at practice, so I'm always sweating. And it's like I just wash my hair, and you put in braids to last longer, but because I'm always sweating and moving, it really doesn't last as long as it should. So my hair always bothered me, but my mom or my sister would always do it. And then it was time for me to go to school, and I was like, okay, I don't know how to do my hair. My mom and my sister aren't here, so they can't do my hair. And then there's also the problem of I went to a school where there was really no one to do my hair or no one that would know how to do my hair. And the hair salons nearby didn't have anyone to do my hair. So my senior year of high school, I decided to get locks. And the reason why I got locks was because one, I couldn't stand doing my own hair anymore. And two, I knew that it would save time and help me with gymnastics. And that's kind of what I mean. Like gymnastics was it's kind of always been a big part of my life to the point where it affected my hairstyles. Like I got locks majorly because of gymnastics. And I didn't want to have to worry about doing my hair or having someone else know how to do it. Like I was just like, let me just get locks and I can go to school and it'll lock up and then, I'll figure it out. So there and we had like team bonding activities and stuff that we would do like normal teams do. There was one in particular that I was just like, ooh, that's not gonna work. And that would be the team would before a meet would go get tans, go tanning as like a team bonding. And we love my old team. I still watch their meets and stuff and still cheer them on. And I never had any issues with any of one of them at all. That was the only time that I was just like, oh, I wish I went to an HBCU. Like, I couldn't win. I never went anytime, or like they'd be talking about it, like, oh my gosh, make sure we go tanning before the meet, and I'm just like, okay. Meanwhile, I have to make sure I find somebody to do my hair before the meet. Like, the experiences were very much different. So here, that was the greatest thing I think for me because I didn't really think about it until we had the first meet. And I was like, oh my God, I need to find somebody to do my hair. And I realized there were like 12 people I could call on campus to do my hair before the first meet. And I wasn't stuck in a situation where I was like, oh my God, like I'm only one on the team wearing tights, only one with locks. We have two other girls on my team with locks. And that is the very first thing I noticed about Coach T. When she was recruiting us and she had called and sent an email, we got on the Zoom. The very first thing I said was, oh my gosh, she has locks. I didn't say it to her out loud, but like my eyes, I was like, oh, she has locks. Like that was the biggest thing for me because it was like, oh my gosh, that was a big deal. I always struggled with my hair all throughout gymnastics and in college. It showed up a lot where I was just like, I have nobody to help me with my hair. And you have the teammates like they'll be helping each other with their hair like before a meet and we, put on the glitter, like we all get ready together. Like that's all gymnastics teams, I feel like we do that. And I really did feel very much separated because I couldn't get ready with anybody. It was really just me getting ready because nobody else knows how to do my hair. They can put the bow in. That's about it. Now I'm on this team, and I'll have Sydney. She's one of our freshmen. Like she'll help refresh my locks before every meet. And we make sure we have like bigger bows than the rest of us, the team because our locks are pretty big, so we'll have really big bows. Sanaya, she just started her locks, and it's just like everyone has different hairstyles and stuff, and it doesn't really make me feel singled out anymore. Um, and our team bonding experiences, like we'll go get nails done together, and we'll just do things that work for all of us versus just the majority. And I think that has been like the biggest difference. And yeah.
No, it's interesting. It's a thing. I mean, hair is a thing. We were talking about that, talking about Gabby Douglas. I was talking during the interview because she got hammered after London about
Mhm.
her hair. And it was like really, it was from Black women. It was like, why can't you do your edges? Can you get this? I was like, my girl,
Yeah, I
it's
don't like doing my
me.
edges either. That's the preference. It's just for me because I don't I sweat a lot and my hair it's always been really thick and really kinky, so it's just like it's not gonna last long. Um, and I've noticed also like there was a time and like when watching Gabby and Simone even like people a lot of the black girls will press their hair just so it's easier to deal with when practicing and stuff. And that I had thought about it. That was a thought I always had. Like maybe I should just perm it, just straighten it so I could just pull it back. Like that seems to work the easiest. But I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to as much as I hated dealing with my hair and as much as it bothered me, a part of me still really liked it. So I wanted to keep as much of my natural hair as I could. So it was a struggle, but I think it worked out in the end.
Hair's a thing. Hair is a thing, and it's always something. But you made some really good points about, overcoming it and sticking to your ground, which is important, and it's part of you being an individual and standing out. Yeah, I got the hair thing. Locks that works. Yeah, it was always a thing. I got it. I remember because I
Yeah.
think people realize I was talking with her that sometimes when you're the only one of color and there's so many differences, it just is some like extra stresses that other people don't have to deal with. So, but the tan
Yeah.
story was a first. I had heard that one. Wow. That is really interesting. So tell me, what do you think is next for you? What do you want to do moving forward? Have you decided yet, or?
So I am fortunate enough to have a fifth year, and I do want to take it. I feel like I owe it to freshman me. COVID really did throw a wrench into everything, even though it did kind of bring me to where I am now. I feel like I still have a lot more to give, and I'm really not ready to be done with gymnastics. I don't think I'm gonna be done until like 50s or something. Like if I could, I would do gymnastics forever. But I know that's not really possible yet. Anyways, I don't know how I would do that, but I do want to plan to take my fifth year, and I want to go to nationals again. I went to nationals with my old team, and I want to be able to go to nationals with this team.
Well, this has been really a lot of fun. It's good to do this. It's glad to meet you. Was it already? Yeah, it's about a year ago when you guys came to Rutgers, right?
Yeah, it's a year. Feels like longer, but
Yeah,
it's been a year.
yeah, it's been a year or so. That's something, but it was really a treat. I'm so thank you for joining us. I mean, it's just nice to hear all the new stories and to see what folks are doing in their journey and that things are evolving, which is great. You know what I'm saying? It's not there yet, which people need to know. We're getting there and it's a journey, but it's lovely to hear your story and the groundbreaking things that you've done in the sport and just as an individual. So that's really wonderful.